Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ach Masduqi, and now in this beautiful opportunity, I would like to discuss about one of the topic in the subject English teaching media, which is will be discussed about visual media. So, firstly, let me tell you about what is actually visual media. So, about the visual media, we would like to divide the visual and media into a different meaning. The firstly is about visual. What is visual? Visual is something such as a picture, diagram, or piece of film that is used to show or explain something. In other way, if you know that definition of visual is something that we can see from our eyes, so the things that we see is have their own meaning. Media. The media have a meaning, have a definition as it refers to the communication channels through which we disseminate news, music, movies, educations, promotional message, and other data. In media, nowadays there are so many media that we can use to make our exercise in our daily life be more effective. In other words that we say to effectively our times, media can be something that giving informations on it. From both definition that I already explained about visual and media, so the meaning of visual media is a source of information in the form of visual representations. So it will be refers to every every information that we can acquire from visual representations. So let's continue about what kind of visual media, of sort of visual media that we have to know. The first is there is photographs, and the second is poster. The third one is infographic, and the fourth is comics. The fifth is chart, and the last but not least is map. In this picture, there are a sentence that giving you an information about a picture is worth 1,000 words, which means that if you see one picture, the picture will contain about so many meaning on it. So photographs is a picture made using a camera in which an image is focused onto film or other light-sensitive material and then made visible and permanent by chemical treatment or store digitality. In this definition, we would like to know if photograph is something that we capture using a camera of our phones, our camera DSLR, and etc. That would be a photographs. So, as I told you that a picture can word 1,000 words or maybe contain so many meanings. So, photograph is one of the sort of visual media. And then the second sort of visual media, it will be poster, which is poster heavy definition is a large printed picture, notice or advertisement displayed in a public place. So if you see some things in a paper that contain of information about something, just like the example in this slide, is how or when you have to wash your hands in your activity, before or after your activity, it will be a poster. So that was one of the sort of visual media. The third source of visual media is infographics. In this sort of visual media, infographic is have it has a definition as a visual image such as a chart or diagram used to represent information or data. In this infographic, there are so many information in it. It can be a data of some things, and beside that, the data will consist of their information. It's not only about the diagram itself, it's not about only the chart itself, but represent also the informations in in it. And then for the fourth search of visual media, it will contain of comic. Maybe mostly all of the childrens that in 10 until 15 years old already know about what is comic itself. That comic is a magazine or book that contains a set of stories told in picture with a small amount of writing picture of comics. So as I know that comic consists of every kind of story, long story, or maybe animal story, imagination story, or anything. Comic also have a meaning as a similarities with with cartoons, which is it will be liked by mostly childrens. And then continue with the next search of visual media, it will be a chart. So the definition of chart is a graphical representation for data visualizations. In chart itself, we know that this often used when when in a company presentations, it will be view this chart to show the data or maybe something that happened for that company time by time, year by year, month by month, just like that. And the last but not least is the in search of visual media is map. The definition of map is a symbolic of representation of selected place characteristic of a place, usually drawn on a flat surface. You know that in your maybe in your elementary school, your senior high school, your junior high school, you maybe ever view a globe that will be that was a map, but in a globe, in a 3D in a 3D object. But map also can be in only in piece of paper. So that's why in these definitions, the characters of a place usually drawn on a flat surface. So in this map, you can also have an information which is where the place of country, where is the place of something. So in conclusion, that visual media is something that can give you an information about some things. It can be something that consists of everything that you want to know. So that was a visual media. Visual media is something that can give you an information about everything. The third source of visual media is infographics. In this sort of Visual media infographic is have it has a definition as a visual image such as a chart or diagram used to represent information or data. In this infographic, there are so many information in it. It can be a data of some things, and beside that, the data will consist of their information. It's not only about the diagram itself, it's not about only the chart itself, but represent also the informations in in it. And also what the impact that I already explained in previous slide, which is it will be divided into the positive and negative impact of visual media. And visual media need to have a person that can control all of the things that youngest people or maybe the children of parents will be controlled by them. So parents take take an important role in control their children, or maybe elder people will take a control important control in viewing or maybe manage the use of visual media for young people, which is parents and elders plays very important role to young viewer. They should always guide and supervise you on what to watch and not to watch, because you might copy or imitate whatever you see in visual media, which is in this meaning that almost every children or maybe younger people will also need to be controlled by their parents or maybe the elder people or the elder brother in using a visual media, because in visual media there's not only about the advantage or maybe the positive side of visual media, but also it will contain so many things that will have a bad impact in visual media, which is I already explained that visual media also contains something harassments, sex harassments, cyberbullying, and also hoax that can be really bad for children. So that's all about my presentations about visual media. And if you find any mistake from my word, I beg your pardon. And before I close my presentations, I would like to remember, I would like to remind you that if you have any questions, just um, put it in the comment below, and maybe just ask me directly. So that's all. The last I say is wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.